2. Welcome back to another episode of Connect and Convert, the Sales Accelerator podcast, where small business owners tune in every week to hear the latest and the greatest on how to grow sales faster than ever. Hey, today we've got a great topic. Hey, Leah, my
Hello,
partner in
Dennis.
crime, Leah Bumphrey, all the way from Saskatoon.
That's where I am. Good to see you.
You know, a week or so ago, from when we were recording this, we had a hurricane here in Florida. I live in Orlando, right?
Yep.
And Leah and I were talking about something, and she mentioned that her radio stations in Saskatoon were covering this. So she got the news director to get in touch with me, and I made about 5 appearances on Saskatoon and Regina radio stations. I am a radio star in Canada. Thanks to Leah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As they say, it has nothing to do with you having a face for radio, but man, did
Thanks
you
a
nail
lot.
it? Did you nail it? You know what? There's nothing more important to any kind of media than reaching out and touching the people that are listening or viewing. And by you being willing to tell us what was going on, we don't experience that. Next time we have a big blizzard and it's minus 42 here, you give me a call. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Anyway, we in Orlando here, thankfully, we didn't get hit too hard, but my heart goes out to the people on the West Coast that got slammed twice in about 2 weeks. Not a pretty sight. Not a pretty sight. So again, we were lucky. We got some rain and some wind and, flooding, but that's we can live with that. So thank you for making me a star in Canada.
You are a Canadian star. I don't know what that means exactly, but I know you are.
I don't either. I'm waiting for my check, but I won't hold my breath. Okay, today we're going to delve into a gentleman that I don't know. We were kidding before. Every time his name is mentioned, I think somebody makes money, Leah. I don't know who it is, but we're going to talk about deconstructing the presentation style of Steve Jobs. This man has been dissected and looked over more than any human being probably ever when it comes to what he accomplished. First of all, Leah, are you an Apple person or are you anything but Apple? What's your preference?
Okay. Phone-wise, I am iPhone all the way. The 3 boys are all iPhone, and my husband, Sean, however, he's an IT guy, so we do not have Apple computers. If I did have an Apple, you wouldn't be able to help me. So I'm Windows when it comes to other technology and what's in our house. But in terms of phone, iPhone all the way.
Okay, that's good. You're in the majority. The latest 2024 figures, take a guess what percentage of mobile phone users in the US use an iPhone? Take a guess.
What they say, statistics are all made up as they're needed. So I say more. There's more iPhones than anything else.
There are. It's 60% is the number. 60% of all mobile phone users use an iPhone. How about Canada? What do you see up in Canada?
We're your kissing cousins. I think we're pretty close.
You are. You're right on it. Yeah. So both the US and Canada are 60%, about 40% for Android phones. Okay. Worldwide, though, isn't this interesting? Look at the whole world, the total world, 71% market share for Android phones. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So in Japan, in the US, in Canada, 60% iPhone, but the rest of the world is flipped. So that's interesting.
Don't tell Sean. Don't tell Sean. He's going to make me switch.
Oh, no, don't switch. You're where you should be. I don't know about you, Leah, but when I try to study something, I try to learn from the very best. Is there someone better than Steve Jobs to learn from? If so, I don't know who that would be. Gone way too soon at a very young age. But here's the thing. He created a legacy that lives on. So we did an episode it may be a few months ago about style and substance. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Is it the substance or is it the style? Okay. And I think Jobs can illuminate a little bit about that in what we're going to talk about today. So, what is Steve Jobs? Is he a technical genius? Is he a design genius? What do you think, Leah? Is he? Or was he?
I don't think so. I think he was competent based on what I read. He was good at that, but that wasn't his real magic.
That wasn't his superpower, was it?
No.
Certainly, he had technologists, design people working with him. But Steve Jobs his superpower was seduction. Yes, seduction. And let me tell you why I think that. Us people, we humans, we want products that transform, that transport, don't we? We want something to take us from here, to transform us. And that's what Steve Jobs provided us. He gave us the power to change our world that we didn't even know existed. This man was a visionary and a world-class presenter. Okay, so today we could focus on, every one of his presentations is enshrined on YouTube. You can find him. I suggest if you want his best and don't have time to look at the rest, look at his presentation on January 9th, 2007. Okay. That is considered by most people to be his most effective, his most persuasive presentation. That was the introduction of the first iPhone. Okay. You weren't even born then, Leah. You probably don't remember.
I hope I was.
Again, can you believe it was only, a few years ago? We didn't have any iPhone until 2007. Wow. It's like we've had them forever,
And you it's amazing because for our kids, you say, we did not all have phones. They can't even imagine that concept.
How could that be? Yeah. My kids were born into a time where there was always a computer. Yeah. I mean, they weren't the computers we have today, but there were computers. Okay. And so they don't know anything about the before computer era. They never lived it. But anyway, back to Steve Jobs. His iconic, persuasive, effective style is what sold Apple. Now, your husband, being an IT guy, might be able to talk about the technology. I have heard people say that the Apple technology is very good, but there is better technology out there. I've heard people say that.
I have heard that too.
That, in fact, some of my Android relatives, they had features on their Android phone that iPhone is just now putting on their latest edition. And oh, by the way, I have to confess, I have drunk the Kool-Aid. You see this?
Yes.
What do you think this is?
That is
iPhone 16.
16. I don't think we've had that launched up here yet. Wow.
Yeah, I just got it. And I used to be that guy that had to have it first on the first day. I've overcome that, but I do have to have it. So so far, it's great, except some of the systems that are going to make this really unique haven't been released yet. So it's going to be in a future release. So I'm still waiting, but it's a great phone. But anyway, it's all Apple. Everything in this office is Apple. I admit I am in the cult. Okay. So what got me into the cult? Okay, Leah, we could spend today, tomorrow, the next day, and all beyond talking about it. But I've boiled this down to three things that I think made Steve Jobs the marketing genius that he was. Number one, I like the way he was dramatic. Okay. So his product launches were performances. They weren't just speeches, they were performances. Today, we're introducing three revolutionary products: an iPod with a touch control, a revolutionary new phone, and a new internet communicator. That's how he started that speech in 2007. Okay?
Okay.
Are you getting it? These are not three separate devices. This is one device, and we're calling it the iPhone. And today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And the audience went nuts. Okay. That's dramatic. They all thought he was going to be introducing 3 products. He introduced 1 product with 3 features. What else? This man was a master of visionary language, forward looking, how things are going to be. We want to make a leapfrog product, not just a new product. I like the word leapfrog product.
That's a great word.
Isn't that a great phrase? A leapfrog product that is way smarter than any mobile device has ever been. And we want to make it super easy to use. This is what the iPhone is. Simple language in a few words, vivid language. He conveyed a vision of what the new iPhone is all about.
What I love about that language is everybody hearing it, you internalize that. You visualize yourself leapfrogging over what other people have. You make yourself smarter, and it's super easy to use. People hear that. You put yourself into his vision.
And that's why he did it. And that's why he did it so emotionally and using such great phrases and words. Okay. But the one that I like to mention third, but it maybe should be first, is his ability to tell a story. Okay. Yeah. So on that day in 2007, he painted the picture of the typical frustrations that people had with most of the mobile phones that were out then. I don't know if you remember those tiny little keyboards.
I had a BlackBerry.
BlackBerry. Yep. Man, I couldn't. My hands are too big to use that thing, The non-intuitive user interfaces that made getting, today we have apps, right? We just go to the apps. That wasn't available before the iPhone. And the poor web browsing, poor to no web browsing, actually, nothing like a real desktop computer. So he painted that picture in story form. And then, here's how he said it. Here's a quote. The problem is they're not so smart and they're not so easy. Okay. They're not so easy to use. So if you kind of make a business school 101 graph of the smart axis and the easy to use axis, phones aren't so smart and they're not so easy to use. Okay. So he summed that all up in one sentence. They're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. He went on and on during his career to tell some of the most compelling stories. And here's a bonus tip. Steve Jobs always had a call to action in his presentations. Okay. He would talk about availability. When are these going to be available? He would talk about the dates, the date and time sometimes that they're going to be available. And he would mention the prices. He put it all out there, creating like remember the pictures of people in line at Apple stores? They still are to some extent.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the lines to get an iPhone? I mean, those were legendary.
And you know what? All the best podcasts also have call to actions, Dennis. Look at our podcast. Our call to action is for our listeners to send us questions. And our call to action is, this is why we did it, because it's a template that works, because we're telling stories that are reflecting the frustrations and the questions that small business owners have. Then we are providing them a venue to ask a single question, but also with our discovery call, which is 60 minutes, it's a longer segment of time where you and I will sit down with them virtually and go through possibilities. So it's very specific, but it's all based on the story of who you and I are and who our business owners are.
And we also, when we do an engagement, when we finally decide to get together, this is the stuff we teach, the stuff that Steve Jobs did. Our job in our world is to deconstruct the geniuses. What did the geniuses do? And try to replicate that. They did it intuitively, most of them. We have to work at it. And that's what we do. We bring their genius to you.
And that's a page right out of wizardofads.org, who sponsors our podcast. That's where you go when you want to have those moments of clarity where we're looking at the geniuses in literature, in music, in marketing, to see how does that impact not just business, but life. All of this comes down to you have to have everything connected together in a way where it makes sense.
I like that. Connected together. That's what Steve Jobs said. Let's connect everything together. Let's put all these three things into one device.
Yep.
So do you have an upcoming meeting, a presentation? Maybe it's to your team. Maybe it's to a client. I'm sure you do. We all do. That's what we do for a living. What can we learn from Jobs? He was not selling iPhones, was he? No. He was selling a lifestyle. He was selling a sense of design, a vision of the future. Here's our challenge. Next time you have to do a presentation, pick just one of those, okay? Maybe pick, maybe the drama. I love having a dramatic presentation, where you don't reveal what you're really revealing until that dramatic moment. Or maybe you like storytelling. Pick one. Don't try to do all three. Pick one. Use it at your next presentation. Cut out the jargon. Cut out the cold, hard facts and features and benefits and all that stuff and the PowerPoint slides with all the points on it. Stop it. Pick one of those and see what happens. What impact is that going to have on your consumer? I guarantee you, you'll build better emotional connections. You'll build better brand loyalty.
And when you have clarity in a presentation like that, you're going to enjoy presenting. You're going to have clearer focus. And when you enjoy something, you just can't help but transfer that confidence.
And that was another point. He always had a sense of humor when he did his presentations.
Yeah.
He didn't take himself too seriously, and yet he this is a very serious thing, a very serious matter, launching a product and hoping that it will sell, but he handled it lightly. So thank you, Steve.
I have a serious question.
Yeah.
I have a serious non-Steve question for you from one of our viewers. Okay.
Gonna nail me now, Leah.
No, this viewer emailed me and was very specific, knowing that you and I both come from a radio background. Right. So the question, I think he thought it was challenging, but what do we consider the best media for businesses to advertise on?
Trick question.
I think there was a little bit of cuteness with the question, but
because they wanted to see, it's got to be radio. I spent 30 plus years in the radio business. You're in the radio business. No, I won't say that because I think radio is very good for what it does. But you know what? Any medium will work if you have the right message, the message that's relevant to your buyer, that resonates with that buyer, that causes them to say, I have got to know more about this. I have got to have this. The resonant message in any medium, in my opinion, Leah, wins the day.
I think you've got that bang on. And that is why we tell all of our listeners and viewers, actually give us a shout. Take us up on our offer of a 60-minute free.
We're waiting for that call.
Discovery call. Yeah. And we will tell you, you know what? Because it depends. Everything always depends. And if anybody tells you something different, I promise you they're just trying to sell you something.
That's true. Be very careful. It's the message. It's the message, stupid. It's the message, stupid. I didn't invent that. Was some political consultant, but
I like it.
I stole it. Okay, kid, we got to say goodbye for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. I certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope you did, Leah.
You bet.
And we will say goodbye for now from Connect and Convert. A new edition, a new episode every week. Tune in to Connect and Convert.